Hi folks, welcome back to Mark Kelly Farms. We're going to do something that we've never done before, and the reason we've never done it is because we've never had a good south-facing window. But in our new home that we just purchased when we moved, we have a very good south-facing window that gets sun basically all day long. So we're going to do a little window garden, and we're going to do like a redneck version hydroponics. So I thought of this a while back, and I watched a couple of YouTube videos. I haven't seen anything too similar, but we're going to give this a shot, and we'll show you right now how we're going to do it. So what I come up with is we got these little cups, and these are cups that came with pudding in them, like the rice pudding or the tapioca pudding, that size of cups. And you can see they fit in these pint jars perfectly. So we're going to use those. And what we did, we cut a little slit in the bottom both ways. And then we took some seam material out of an old t-shirt. We cut up an old t-shirt, tied a little knot in the top, and then made it so it would fit down in the jar. So this is basically what we ended up with here, a little knot with a little piece of material going down into the jar, and that's going to act as a wick to keep the soil that we're going to put in here moist. So let me get a couple of these done, and we'll get some soil in them, and we'll plant the seeds, and I'll show you what we got going. Okay, we got the water in the jars, and we got the rest of our wicks in. You can see this wick is already completely soaked. This one's almost to the top. And this one's not quite to the knot yet. This one's in the knot. And this one's working its way up the wick almost to the top. So that's what you want. It's wicking up nicely, and that's what we want. And that's going to put just enough moisture in the soil. You can see this second one's already to the top. Third one's up to the knot. This one's almost to the top. So that's what we're looking for. I think that's going to work out nicely. So here's the herbs we're planning on doing. We got some basil, got some rosemary, got some thyme, some peppermint, and some cilantro, which is our favorite. And yeah, you're probably thinking, if you're a gardener, some of this stuff gets way too big to be doing like hydroponic stuff in here. But if you keep them trimmed, if you trim off the stem every now and then and actually use this stuff, it's not going to get too crazy. And then when it does get too crazy, you just take that little cup and pull the root ball out of it and transfer it right into either the garden or a raised bed or a container, something like that, and move it outside. But all the wicks are wet now. That's what we're looking for. We're going to get some garden soil. We're going to moisten it a little bit, and then we'll plant our seeds. Okay, we've started filling our jars. Put some newspaper down on your table so you don't make a mess. I wear gloves, so I don't get my hands all nasty, and I can just pull them off. You can see we've started putting the seeds in, and we've planted the basil. The basil gets planted 1/4 inch. So rather than fill this thing all the way up and then make a bunch of little holes, just fill it up a little ways, leave a flat surface, put your seeds in there, arrange them a little bit, and then put 1/4 inch of soil on top of them. It saves you a lot of work. So we'll get the rest of these planted, and I'll show you what we'll do next. Okay, I got the seeds covered with 1/4 inch of soil. I labeled the jar with a little piece of painter's tape with the name of the herb on it. I also put the tape right at the top of the water level, so that'll allow me to see how much the water level is going down and kind of gauge how much it uses in a day or a week or whatever. Almost ready for the windowsill. So here's our nice south-facing window. Sunshine all day, like I said. And what we did with the jar is we got some cling wrap. Make sure it's cling wrap, because otherwise it's not going to work for you. Get the cling wrap, go around the top of the jar, and then just kind of fold the top over and push it together so it makes like a little tent. And what's that going to do is it's going to keep that soil moist and keep it from drying out. But as soon as you see seedlings popping up, that hot cap needs to come off because those seedlings need to breathe. And it's a good idea right here, it's right by our back door. So every time I go in and out the door, I can come over here and go, do I have any seedlings popped up? And if I do not, we'll leave the caps on, but as soon as I do, I'll pull them babies off. Let's get the rest of them made. If you're putting these seeds in, they're kind of small seeds. These are coated, so they're a lot easier to see. But you can take a toothpick and kind of move your seeds around, get them evenly spaced in there. And as you're filling your jars up, or your little pots, if you come across any big, gnarly pieces of potting soil, just go ahead and pull those out and just use the little fine stuff. But that's pretty well evenly spaced. We're going to go with that. I'm removing this little thing out of the window here. Anybody with an old house knows all these windows are painted shut and they don't work anyway. And it'll let me evenly space my bottles, so that'll help my OCD out a little bit. Oh, if you're more OCD than I am and you don't like all these different heights on these hot caps, just trim them with scissors. You'll be fine. All right, we got all 6 of them completed. We got the little hot caps put on them. You can see these first couple that we got done have already got the moisture going on inside. And if you didn't have that cover on there, all that moisture would be lost. It'd be going up in the air. But like I said, as soon as you see seedlings, those caps got to come off. Also, what I did on each jar, I went and looked at the days to germination. So if you look here, I got March 1st through the 10th. So somewhere between the 1st and the 10th of March, these things should be sprouted. So I know these all have different ones. You can see we got the 3rd to the 15th, the 9th through the 16th, the 7th through the 10th, and the 10th through the 20th. So pretty broad spectrum of when they're supposed to come up. So I can look in that and I can immediately know whether I need to replant or just have a little patience. I don't know if you've ever planted peppermint seeds, but man, them things are tiny. Almost couldn't see them going into the dirt. And the cilantro, just a quick little tip on the cilantro, those seeds are actually just coriander. So if you look in your cabinet, in your spice cabinet, and you have whole coriander, those are just cilantro seeds, if you didn't know that. They should plant and germinate as long as they haven't been treated with anything or been sitting in your cupboard for 10 years. They should plant if you want to grow some cilantro. Also, some of you gardeners are probably going to say, well, you've got way too many seeds in those little tiny pots. And yes, I do. But there's a reason for that. When those things germinate, most people know that not all seeds are going to germinate. Of course, with this perfect environment that we got over here, they may all germinate. But what I do is I go in through later with like a little pair of tweezers or a little pair of scissors, and I'll cut all the ones out that aren't the strongest stems and thin it down to what I actually need. So yes, I did plant them a lot thicker than they need to be, but that's all right. Also, pay attention to your planting depth, because all of these herbs had different planting depths, from anything from 1/16 of an inch all the way to 1/4 of an inch. So make sure you pay attention to that. If it's 1/16 of an inch, you can almost just press them in the top of the soil, like flower seeds or whatever. But I know you're going to be upset because you're not going to see the finished product on this video. And yes, that drives me crazy too. But it's no telling how long this is going to be to sprout. But I promise you, I will post a video. So if you're keeping track of what we got going on, you will see the video of these things when they're sprouted. If you want to make sure to see it, hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell, and you'll be alerted when we post videos. And I'm not doing that to promote the channel. Like I've told you before, we're not doing that for that. But if you want to keep up on us, that's a good way to do it. Or just check back every now and then. We'd love you to have you check back every now and then, because that's what I do with all my friends. I check with them every now and then. So I hope this is going to be helpful for you. I think it's going to work fantastic. And I'm so glad. I got a beautiful south-facing window now that I've never had before. So we'll see you on the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy.